At last, I could relax. I collapsed onto the couch, triumphant. It was the first moment all day I had to myself. The apartment sparkled with cleanliness. Dinner was on its way, and I'd somehow managed to get myself looking decent despite being exhausted. Nikita had promised to be home in about 40 minutes. I couldn't wait to see him again. It had been a month and a half since he left on a work trip. He hadn't had to travel for his job in the past couple of years, but this time he couldn't get out of it. I wasn't used to being home alone, especially in the beginning. It felt so strange. Thankfully, that part was behind us now. I really hoped they wouldn't send him off again, at least not anytime soon. Exactly 40 minutes later, I heard movement in the hallway, followed by the sound of the front door swinging open. I ran toward him with a cry of joy and wrapped him in a tight hug. He looked just as thrilled to see me. We ended up going to bed at around 4 a.m. We just couldn't stop talking. We'd really missed each other. Of course, we could have talked more often while he was away, but the connection was terrible. He managed to call me once a week, and even then, the call would last no longer than 10 minutes. He texted me a bit in the evenings, but those conversations never lasted long, 10 messages tops. And don't even get me started on the internet. There simply wasn't any. After such a late night, I ended up sleeping until noon. My stomach growled, reminding me I hadn't eaten since last night. There was still plenty of food left from dinner: sushi, a few slices of pizza, and a couple of salads. Nikita wasn't beside me. He was clinking dishes in the kitchen. Seemed like he hadn't waited for me to wake up. Well, no problem. We could still eat together. I lazed in bed a bit longer, then washed up and made my way to the kitchen. Nikita was already sitting at the table, sipping his coffee. "Good morning," I greeted him. "Morning, sunshine," he replied warmly with a smile. I noticed the table was empty. I guess you waited after all, I thought. I opened the fridge and blinked. Everything was gone. Not believing what I saw, I shut the door and opened it again. Nothing had changed. "Nikita, where's the food?" I asked, confused. "You slept a long time," he muttered, avoiding eye contact. "You ate everything?" "Yeah, I was just really hungry," he admitted. I sighed. "I mean, it's fine, but we could have had enough for the whole day." "How did you even manage that?" "I don't know. I was starving." "Did they not feed you out there, or what?" "Sort of," he said, still not meeting my eyes. I felt a wave of sympathy. What kind of conditions were those? No signal, no internet, and apparently barely any food. I finished my coffee, grabbed my bag, and went to the store. Came back with 2 huge bags stuffed full of groceries. Nikita couldn't stop eating. He devoured everything in huge portions. I wasn't mad. Some people just eat a lot. But my husband, he wasn't like that. He worked out regularly, kept to a balanced diet, and always watched his portions. I could overeat if something tasted amazing, but he was always disciplined. I figured maybe the intense appetite would wear off soon. But it didn't. It stayed exactly the same. Then I started noticing something else, something weirder. Nikita made strange noises in his sleep. Not snoring or talking, something more like a low growl. It reminded me of a dog that was about to snap. The first night, I didn't pay it much attention, but when I heard it again the next night, and the night after that, it started to worry me. I kept waking him up, but he always told me he felt fine and didn't understand why I kept interrupting his sleep. After a week of this, I insisted he see a doctor. As expected, he kept putting it off. He's the type who won't go to a clinic unless it's an emergency. So I had no choice but to wait and keep watching. Work had picked up for me, and I started going to bed earlier than usual. Nikita was aware and did his best not to disturb me, but I'm a light sleeper. Any little sound could wake me. One night, that growl woke me up again, but this time it was different. It started quiet, then slowly got louder and more intense. I froze. I wasn't scared, exactly. It was more annoying. It felt like he was doing it on purpose. "Nikita, wake up," I said softly. He didn't move. "Wake up," I repeated, louder now, shaking his shoulder. Still nothing. His eyes were shut, and he didn't react at all. Now I was getting nervous. Either something was wrong, or he was seriously out of it. I got out of bed, went to the kitchen, and filled a mug with water. Then I dumped it right on him. His eyes opened, but his reaction wasn't what I expected. He didn't jump up, didn't wipe his face, didn't ask what happened. He just stared. Didn't move, didn't speak, didn't even blink. "Nikita?" I called softly. No answer. My hands started to shake, and tears welled up in my eyes. I turned the bedroom light on, sat beside him, and shook him until he finally came to. "Dasha, why'd you wake me up? Couldn't sleep or what? And why is everything wet?" he mumbled, rubbing his eyes sluggishly. "What is wrong with you?" I snapped. "Your appetite is out of control. No normal person eats that much. And the growling, it's not normal. And now, after I soaked you with water, you didn't even get up. I don't get it." I buried my face in my hands, crying partly from fear, partly from frustration. "Dasha, hey, don't cry. I was just in a deep sleep, that's all." "No, it's not just that. Promise me you'll go to a doctor." "I promise. I'll go this week. If you don't, I swear I'll file for divorce." "Got it?" "Yes, I get it. I'll go. I swear." But the week came and went, and he still hadn't made an appointment. He said his boss wouldn't let him leave work, and that private clinics were the only ones open on weekends. He didn't want to go to those because of the cost. I gritted my teeth and kept pushing him about it. I didn't want to leave him. I loved him. So I endured it all. Until one day, I saw something strange. Dark, unfamiliar marks had appeared on his skin. One day, he was in the shower and must not have noticed me come in. He had his back to the door and didn't see me, but I saw everything. His entire back was covered in large, dark brown patches. Normally, it was hard to notice, since he wore t-shirts around the house, and we usually went to bed at different times. I asked what was going on. My question startled him so much he dropped the shower head, sending water spraying everywhere. "What are you doing here?" he asked, clearly shaken. "I just came to wash my hands," I muttered, trying to play it off. But then he completely lost it, started shouting, ordering me to get out. "Nikita, please." "I said out," he yelled. My brain refused to accept what had just happened. He had never spoken to me like that, never raised his voice. In all our years together, we had only fought once. And now this? I left and locked myself in the kitchen, finally breaking down in loud sobs. I didn't understand what was happening between us. Then a terrifying thought struck me. Maybe he had caught something during that business trip. Some kind of illness. What if it was a sexually transmitted infection? Could he have slept with someone while he was away? Or maybe he even had a mistress. We didn't exchange a single word the rest of the day. I felt completely drained. What was going through his head I couldn't say, but his silence crushed me. The fact he didn't even try to comfort me made it worse. I lost my appetite, didn't want to eat or drink anything. Meanwhile, he was eating like a madman, as if nothing had changed. Later that evening, we ended up clashing again. I walked into the kitchen and saw a total mess. A torn bread bag, dirty plates, and Nikita sitting there, staring blankly at the wall. I might have let it go if not for the fact that he was holding a yogurt bottle in his hand, and the yogurt was slowly pouring onto his pants and the floor. I snapped, "Seriously? Have you completely lost it? Why are you eating if you're not even aware of it?" I yelled louder than I ever had in my life, but he didn't react, still stared into the distance. I grabbed the bottle from him, tossed it into the sink, and slapped him hard across the face. That jolted him. He suddenly grabbed my wrists and squeezed so tightly that tears sprang to my eyes. "Let go! You're hurting me!" I cried. But he didn't let go. He just stared, expressionless, silent. Then I looked into his eyes. What I saw scared me. There was fury there, not anger, something darker, something predatory. His stare burned right through me. I felt genuine fear deep in my gut. It rose slowly, until I wanted to curl up and disappear. For a moment, I thought he might kill me. Then suddenly, his expression changed. Confusion, fear, it was like he snapped out of it. "Dasha," he mumbled, looking lost. "What the hell is wrong with you? Are you insane?" I shouted, storming off to the bathroom and locking the door behind me. At that point, I knew I'd have to leave him. There was no other way. I didn't know what was happening to him. He refused to go to the doctor, and I couldn't keep living like this. For several days, I battled myself. On one hand, divorce seemed like the only logical option. But on the other hand, what if he needed help? What if something much worse was going on beneath the surface? One thing was certain, he was hiding something. I had never snooped in his phone before, but I was desperate now. What if he was using drugs or involved in something illegal? I didn't know what to think anymore. As if reading my mind, he became incredibly protective of his phone. Took it with him everywhere, even to the bathroom, and slept with it under his pillow. Eventually, I made the painful decision. I would file for divorce. But before I did, I needed answers. After all, things started going wrong right after that supposed business trip. Maybe someone at work knew what had really happened. I didn't want to bother his coworkers, so I went straight to the top. I had met his boss a few times at company events. Seemed like a reasonable guy. His number was still saved in my contacts. I had kept it just in case, and now that moment had come. He didn't answer at first. I was about to hang up when he finally picked up. "Hello?" "Hi, Kirill Olegovich. It's Dasha, Nikita's wife." "Oh, Dasha, hello. Nice to hear from you. How are things?" "Honestly, not great." "What happened?" "I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I have no one else to turn to. Nikita got sick after that last business trip, and he won't tell me anything. I was hoping maybe you knew something about it." There was silence on the line. At first, I thought the call had dropped, but then I heard him breathing. "Dasha, I like you, really, but I have no idea what you're talking about." Immediately, thoughts of male loyalty crossed my mind. Was he covering for Nikita? Were they both hiding something? "What do you mean?" I asked. "I mean, first of all, Why would I know anything about it? And second, what business trip? Why would Hike know where he's been going lately? I was stunned. Wait, what? I asked. He chuckled awkwardly and said, I was hoping you could tell me what's going on. How would I know about his schedule? That's when it hit me. You're saying he quit? After a long pause, the answer came, now in a more serious tone. Yes. Nikita left the company. More than 2 months ago. Didn't he tell you? His words echoed in my head like a bomb going off. More than 2 months ago. So there was no business trip. Where had he really been? Of course, he was cheating. Had to be. He was with someone else, some other woman. I couldn't believe it. Are you serious right now? Completely. Why would I joke about that? Right. I see. Thank you, Kirill Olegovich. Take care. You too. If anything else comes up, don't hesitate to call. His words left me shaken. If Nikita quit over 2 months ago, then every morning he left the house at the same time, pretending to go to a job that didn't exist. So either he found another job and didn't tell me, or he was lying entirely. Either way, it was clear. He no longer saw me as part of his life. I was almost certain now that he had someone else, but I needed to see it for myself. That night, Nikita fell asleep earlier than usual and forgot to hide his phone. I couldn't resist. Something had clearly grabbed his attention lately. Was it conversations with his new girlfriend? I had once seen him type his password, so unlocking the phone wasn't a problem. But I didn't find any texts from a woman. Instead, I came across a strange group chat, about 50 members. At first, the messages made no sense. But in the latest ones, they were all discussing how productive their day had been. It seemed to be an interesting opportunity at first, but the longer I studied the material, the more my concern grew. The group had recently accepted new members, implanting some of them with a certain organism. I read through messages several times, trying to grasp their meaning accurately. Initially, I thought it was about experimental research or a specific parasite, but reality turned out much scarier. Participants were discussing the emergence of new life forms essential for humanity's future survival. My muscles stiffened, and my throat tightened as if strangled by an invisible noose. What kind of crazy company is this? And why did my husband feel compelled to join such mentally unstable people? I'll confront him immediately. I need answers. It seems he might have been enticed by promises of substantial rewards. Now it's crucial to stop what's happening and cut off all communication with these individuals. Lost in these thoughts, I went to bed planning to wake up my spouse right away. However, something strange was going on with his body. His abdomen began pulsating, like a baby struggling to escape from its mother's womb, though obviously not that situation. Suddenly, my husband sat upright on the bed, jerking and swaying as though controlled by unseen strings. Eyes closed, head tilted downwards, rocking rhythmically back and forth. I wanted to shake him awake, but an inner voice firmly warned against any interference. Then came the nightmare moment. His stomach skin started stretching oddly, followed by something long protruding inside his body. Tense shuddering occurred. Then the flesh gave way under pressure, tearing open and splattering blood everywhere. First one hand emerged from the wound, then another. Paralyzed by shock, I watched helplessly as this unknown entity tore itself free through my living husband's body, bursting outward like a larva emerging from a cocoon. The room was dimly lit by a faint streetlight outside, visibility limited, yet what I saw will haunt me forever. The creature's appearance was grotesque beyond description. Wrinkled face, devoid of nose, deep hollows where mouth and eyes should be, filled only with dark voids. After just seconds, 2 red pinpoints appeared within those empty sockets, presumably its eyes. Without hesitation, I instinctively jabbed my sharp nails directly into its pupils, causing it to scream and clutch frantically at its own face. This brief window allowed me to flee. I managed to lock the monstrosity inside our apartment before escaping, hearing loud banging sounds afterward. Neighbors quickly called law enforcement upon hearing the commotion. In hysterical panic, I couldn't coherently explain events. Naturally, police arrested me on suspicion of murdering my husband. Meanwhile, the escaped being vanished mysteriously when officers arrived. Eventually, they released me due to newly discovered circumstances surrounding the case. They wouldn't disclose details, but investigators informed me of disturbing revelations. The investigation uncovered a secret cult worshipping ancient life forms, performing brutal sacrifices to ensure their own survival. Thanks to this discovery, authorities concluded I wasn't responsible for the incident. Still unclear remains how my husband became involved in this activity or where the monster originated. For now, the mysterious creature roams freely outside police surveillance, seemingly harmless so far.